Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Sesh, the series where I talk about gacha games I like. And by gacha games I mean mostly HSR because that seems to be the last man standing. So yeah, our topic for today is Honkai Star Rail version 4.3. To kick things off, I do want to talk about the banners that ran. In the first half, we had Mortonak's Blade and a Yao Guang rerun, which I was a little surprised for because I feel like it's so soon to have like a rerun. I don't know. I'm not too sure if that's the norm. I feel like it has been as of late that they've been doing like really early reruns, but I was a little surprised to see her so soon. But I haven't been as excited for a character as I have been for Mortonak's Blade in a long time. If Blade has 0 fans, I'm dead, guys. Like, I love him so much. He's one of my favorite characters in the game. I really do love his new design, too. I think it's very attractive. But yeah, second half banners were Finon and Cyrene, both of whom I do have, so I kind of spent the second half of the banner trying to get Saber, who I still don't have, and I'm a little worried that they're going to take Saber and Archer down finally, now that there's going to be another fake collab, so I'm kind of like, oh shit, I gotta get her. I still don't have her. Now let's get into some of the events. I fear the autoplay bonanza that we talked about on the last episode is still kind of in full swing, at least in the first half with the Pixel Plane tournament. It kind of did remind me of the Kingdom Hearts like gummy ships in the loosest sense, but you essentially had to like augment your little plane in order to be the last man standing. Again, the event was very much hands-off, as a lot of them have been lately, so I didn't really have too much of an interest in it, but I did have fun with it for the first few rounds before the novelty started to wear off. In the second half, the Wisp Bay Amusement Park was the subsidiary event, and at this point I wasn't expecting much, and the Wisp Bay Amusement Park sounds exactly like its name. You essentially build attractions for the Wisp Bay to engage in as they walk along a set track. It kind of reminded me of Plants vs. Zombies in like a weird way, and I actually did really enjoy it despite it also being mostly an idle event. But yeah, they're really saving the budget for the Fate collab, I think, with all these like events that are super like static. From this point onward, I will be talking about the main story, so this is officially spoiler territory. But yeah, I was really excited going into 4.3 story simply because following the events of 4.2, it really feels like we've hit the portion of the story where things are kind of starting to escalate and get more serious. There was a lot of potential consequences for our heroes following the sheer amount of allegations being thrown their way by Foolish and being perpetrated by the media and Plan-Arcadian citizens through the internet. So I was really excited to see the fallout of that. And that's not even mentioning the brewing storm of a potential Lord Ravager of Destruction being involved on top of the threat of Shuhu's vessel. Needless to say, there was a lot of different avenues that this update could have gone in to deal with all of these various things that are going on, and I was really excited to see what direction we were going to move in. We started off right where we left off, letting Himiko know about Evanesia's request for us to travel to the world in Canvas to find Graphia. We talked to Yao Guang before we set off, and we learned that Ouroboros the Veracity is also sealed on Plan-Arcadia, and being the world-devouring being of calamity that he is, he might be able to devour the Shuhu concentrate that Blade has in his body. So the plan is for Blade to tag along with us to the world in Canvas so we can deal with at least one of our problems. Before we set off, we have one last hurrah with the Astral Express crew, and these moments of reprieve are always so nice to reestablish the bonds and kind of show where characters are at now as they develop through the journey. But man, did this scene ever make me nervous that something bad was going to happen. I don't know, something about a celebration toast always has me feeling like something is going to go down. And especially with kind of the more somber mood of the quest at the moment, I was really nervous that like something was going to happen to someone. We talked to Don Hong and March 7th about what their plans are going to be while we're in the world in Canvas, and we learned that Don Hong will be helping Welt and General Yao Guang, while March 7th will be assisting Ashvale with his investigation into Asat Pramad. I have to say that something I really have enjoyed about Planet Arcadia, in contrast to Amphorius, which I have mentioned before, is how involved everyone is. It truly does feel like an update that while we are meeting new characters who are relevant, the focus is staying very, very much on the Express crew as a whole. And I really did miss that feeling in Amphorius. I feel like Amphorius did do a fantastic job at introducing such a large ensemble cast and making everyone still feel very real, relevant, and important to the story, but I just really did miss having the core cast being in focus, and that's something I really, really do like that we're returning to in Planet Arcadia. On a similar note, the Stellaron Hunters were notably absent on Amphorius as well, and similarly, Blade and Silverwolf's interactions really, really are well done in this update and just in Planet Arcadia in general. I always have been a sucker for their relationship in particular, but seeing someone who normally comes across as somewhat apathetic, like Silverwolf, being so desperate to convince Blade to not die, and the feeling and sense of farewell in their first interaction before Blade sets off really touched me and just made me love them even more. I really loved the world in Canvas and just how it looked. It reminded me a lot of Mount Firmament from Wuthering Waves, probably because of like the winter setting, but also in the way that it felt very like magical and separated from the rest of the world, which, you know, makes sense. Meeting Graphia was cool, but Blade really did steal the show for this quest. I do have to say that it's probably unfair because, as I mentioned, Blade is one of my favorite characters in the game already. But I did love his entire arc this quest and just how much he moved forward whilst in the Maw of Leviathan. For the first time, it really does feel like Blade has moved past the events from 700 years ago and accepts his new life and family in more than just I'm with you while I look for a way to die and that's that kind of way. I really, really do like that he's starting to kind of develop and become like this more interesting, I'm not even going to say more interesting, but like this character who's starting to like move forward. His promise that if a blade is needed, he will be it, immediately paying off when he jumps in to like prevent Silverwolf from tapping into her powers, was so well done, such a cool moment, and I really just loved how they handled his character and his progression as he honors the past but also looks forward into the future. I have talked about it before, about how much I think HSR excels at writing duos, like character duos. And again, I just think they really nailed Silverwolf and Blade's relationship and showing us how close they are in the short amount of time that we had with them during this quest. Not to mention, the cinematics for this update were absolutely beautiful, especially the combat ones. Whilst everything is happening with Blade and the Trailblazer, Himiko is kind of the other side of the quest, also doing stuff simultaneously. I have to say that while I do really like Himiko, it really felt like I was reading a book with two perspectives, and every time I got to her segments, I just wanted to get back to the Blade side. I was just like, oh my gosh, I really want to know what's going on with him. But in seriousness, though, Himiko's entire backstory was really interesting, and the big reveal about both her and her father being fakes was very well done. And I really like how it kind of ties back to their first meeting in 4.0, where both of them kind of accused each other of not being who they claim to be. Himiko Nova will be running next banner, which does make me curious on if they're going to expand on her backstory even more and or reveal it to the rest of the Astral Express crew. We shall see. And I do think it's super interesting. I have played Honkai Impact 3rd, but like in the loosest sense. I think I maybe have like 3 hours logged on it. I have played very like minimal amounts of this game, and it makes me super curious about like how that backstory, like how Himiko's character and backstory kind of looks from the perspective of somebody who has the context of like Himiko in Impact 3rd. Again, like I'm not like the person to do that comparison or talk about it, but I'm like super interested in that as well. But that's kind of just like a side thought. I do think that Asat Pramad as a villain was also super cool. I really like how like cunning he seems, and also the aura he brings to the story. Like he's kind of just been this mysterious name without a face really throughout the story so far. He has this like sinister vibe that I never really got from like Lygus in Amphorius. And I do feel like Asap Ramad will be the main villain going forward in light of the end of the quest. And I hope he's able to kind of keep up that aura and vibe that he brings to the story, just because I think that he's like the first villain that we've had that I've genuinely been like, oh, this guy's kind of scary. But yeah, that's been my thoughts on 4.3. I actually was on time for once, guys. I actually finished the script like literally like right after the basically right after the second event dropped. I was like already done my script. I just took a while with editing the video, so we actually are on time and we are caught up. So I hope you guys are as excited for 4.4 as I am. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.